Okay, after looking at DAT trend lines, I logged back into the DAT load board. Actually, you will notice that this one looks a little bit different. For previous demonstrations, I was using DAT Tracker's Edge, and now I'm using DAT Power. And this subscription is slightly more expensive, but I'm just going to use it because it has more tools, and I want to show you all the set of tools that DAT has to offer. Some of these tools will be available for you, some not, depending on what subscription you buy and how much money you'll be paying monthly for the load board. So first thing, actually, I want to go to search loads, and let's just do a quick search here. I don't know, driver, and doesn't matter, Atlanta, Georgia, for example. Very quick search. So first thing that's available to us, let's say, for example, we're looking at this load over here. We don't know the rate. The broker hasn't posted his rate. We can click on the load and we get the broker to carry a spot. So this is a spot rate or an average rate based on historical statistics for the past 30 days, I believe. I'm not sure, it could be 90 days actually, but historically this lane has been paying $2.21 per mile, and even here we can see that should be paying a minimum of $2.09 and a maximum of $2.39 per mile. So already inside of the load board, while you're looking for loads, you can use this broker to carry a spot to get a general idea of how much this load should be paying, or at least how much this load has been paying in the past. Of course, this statistics is taken from historical value, so if in the past months they've been paying $2.21, it doesn't mean that today they're going to be paying $2.21, so the reality might be quite different, but this could be a foundation, a starting point for you to understand how much this load could be paying. Actually, it's very good to pair this with the DAT trend lines. If you go here and see the average rate has been $2.21, you can go back to DAT trend lines, see that percentage change over the week or over the months, and understand, okay, so they've been paying $2.21, but the market has actually decreased, and it means I might be looking at a lower rate. Or on the contrary, they've been paying $2.21, but the market has increased, so actually I should be asking for more than $2.21. I should probably be asking somewhere in the higher range of $2.39 per mile or more. It's very good to use this broker to carry a spot while looking at DAT trend lines to see some trends and to understand how close to this value you should be aiming for. Okay, this is available in any load search. Any load that I look for, I can always check out the broker to carry a spot for any lane. But I'm just leaving the search loads, going back to my load board. So I have this little briefcase here, and this is called tools, and this is these are the tools available with paid subscription of DAT. So I'll go through each one of these. First one is lane makers. Let's click on it. This is a very interesting tool. You see they're actually offering me Lane Makers Premium. I'm not even 100% sure what's included in the Premium, but you can go and check it out for yourself, see how much it costs, see if it's worth it. But this is a great tool, especially when you're just starting to work with a carrier, and actually it allows you to see what brokers have the most amounts of loads for your carrier. So here, report type, I have carrier activity. It's only available to me because we're actually also brokers, so we buy broker DAT accounts, but for normal carriers it will usually just show broker activity, and then it include full or partial. Doesn't matter for me, I'm just going to use both. So let's say I got a new carrier. He is a flatbed, for example, and he's based in, let's say, Richmond, Virginia. So I got this carrier, he's relatively new, he wants some loads from Richmond, Virginia. I can go and click search here, and this will actually show me the brokers that have the most load postings out of Richmond, Virginia in the past months. So as you can see, The biggest one is DNL Transport, 22,000 load postings for flatbed out of Richmond, Virginia in the past month. So that already gives me a clear understanding. Okay, the first broker I have to set up is DNL Transport, and I'm probably going to book a lot of loads with them, so I better make good relationship with them for that carrier. And then I can see some other brokers. Total Quality Logistics, as you can see already, only 2,700 compared to 22,000. So DNL is definitely the leader in Richmond, Virginia, but some other brokers I should be setting up my carrier with is Total Quality Logistics, King of Freight LLC, GLM, Berry Trucking, Tennessee Steel Haulers, R&R, etc, etc, etc. So it gives us, I don't know how many, about a dozen brokers that have the most loads coming out of this specific city of Richmond, Virginia. Now, let's say this same carrier out of Richmond, Virginia tells me, hey, you know what, I only want to travel down to North Carolina or up to New Jersey, for example. Okay, origin, Richmond, Virginia, destination, North Carolina. Okay, search. Now this will show me the brokers that had the most load from Richmond going specifically to North Carolina. You see, not even interesting. DNL, that the one that had the most load postings, is not even here. So actually this lets us understand that DNL has a lot of loads coming out of Richmond, Virginia for flatbed, but not going to North Carolina. If we want to go to North Carolina, we have to set up with Tennessee Steel Haulers. So I guess a lot of steel is coming out from Virginia down to North Carolina, and then JLM, IRL, Total Quality Logistics, etc, etc. So the brokers actually have changed depending on the destination, and then if he says he wants to go to North Carolina or New Jersey, we'll go ahead, do the same for New Jersey. You see Tennessee Steel Haulers, the one that was the top one going to North Carolina, is actually not here anymore. Now Total Quality Logistics is the biggest broker that ships loads from Richmond, Virginia to New Jersey. And then you have the other brokers as well. So this is a fantastic tool to understand what brokers to set up with, what brokers to set up your carrier with, especially if you have a new carrier. Go to Lane Makers, check out the brokers, do some setups, and immediately start building relationships with those brokers. Your carriers will really appreciate it, especially if they're new carriers. They're not set up with many brokers yet. They haven't done much business in the past. You as a dispatcher can help them out, help them make their first money, and keep this customer for a really long time. They'll stay with you, they'll stick with you, they'll not want to go to any other dispatcher. All right, Lane Makers, fantastic tool. Oops, my Mac will die soon. So the next one is market conditions. Let's click on this. And market condition index is pretty much, let me just click somewhere. Market condition index is pretty much just an index for a load to truck ratio. So once again, tight capacity, hot, it will be shown in red. Those are the areas with the highest load to truck ratio. And then on the contrary, the blue ones are the areas with the least load to truck, with the smallest load to truck ratio. So we can choose by equipment, van, flat, or reefer, and here it's given us by the key market area, but we can actually just choose, let's say, by state, and we can even use the time frame, prior business days, current, even has a 7-day forecast, or prior 7 days, prior 30 days. Let's choose current, and let's just apply this filter here. Let's see if it loads. There you go. So we can see in red, hot states with the highest load to truck ratio for dry van. In blue, colder, those have the lowest load to truck ratio. So this gives us a pretty good indication. If my truck is in Georgia and I want to go to a cold state like Nebraska, they're going to be paying me a very high rate. And on the contrary, if I'm going from a cold state to a hot state, from Nebraska to Georgia, I can expect a rate that's below general market average. So you can play around with this. You can see by area, by market area. Market area is actually very interesting because rather than looking at states as a whole, we can look specific market areas, and see, because in a certain state there could be hot zones and there could be cold zones. Look at Texas. So Texas has cold zones. East of Texas is always hot. This is Dallas area, this is Houston area, they're always hot. And then other areas like this big one is a desert, so there's usually no loads here, and this is shown to us by the market index. Okay, let's move away from the market condition index and look what else is available to us in these tools. So we looked at lane makers, we look at market conditions. Here's a quick rate search. This is actually a very simple tool. We just choose an equipment, let's say for example reefer, and then we choose a lane, Miami, Florida to, I don't know, Atlanta, Georgia, for example. And then we click search and we get our average rate. So average rate for reefer on this lane is $1.84, and it ranges from $1.49 to $2.12. And that's $1,222 per trip. And we can actually, this is broker to carrier spot, we can actually see shipper to carrier contract. So we see that the contract rate is actually relatively higher. It's $1,667 when a carrier gets the load directly from the shipper, and it's only $1,222 when you get the same load from the broker. So very simple tool. This is the same thing as what's available to you when you search for loads. But if you don't want to go and do a full search, you can just very quickly check the lane. That's why it's called a quick rate search. Okay, so then we have the trend lines. We already seen that. That's available to us. DAT directory. That's just a directory where you can search companies. I'm not going to click on it now, but you can search by MC number or by company name, by phone number, and you can search any carrier or any broker. Okay, so all of the tools are not really important to us. My subscription allows me to search for trucks, so I can actually go and search for loads and then go and search for trucks and kind of compare that statistics. That's going to be the same statistics as the load to truck ratio that we've already seen. Okay, so DAT is not the only load board that collects data and provides analysis tools. Actually, the next module, module 6, is going to be all about load boards and how to get subscribed to them. The two main competitors of DAT are TruckStop and 123 load boards. TruckStop provides a very similar set of tools to DAT. You can check average rates, load to truck ratio, rate trends. I'm not going to stop and show it to you. It's very similar to DAT. You'll have no problem using it. Also, it's a bit tricky to get for a beginner dispatcher unless your employer provides an account for you. But what I do want to show you today is 123 load boards and the tools it provides, because it's the easiest load board to get for a beginner dispatcher. It's most likely you will have a 123 load board account even before you have a DAT account, so you'll most likely have access to it. And let's see what tools are available here. So I'm logged into my account. So this is how my dashboard looks. Here on the left I have the menu. I have find loads. It's essentially the exact same thing as load search on DAT. You'll be able to use it, no problem. I have load availability here. So it's called the density list. This is actually the exact same thing we saw on the DAT Tracker's Edge. If you remember the in and out ratio, so this is the same here. Inbound will be the in and outbound will be the out. But 123 load board also provides us information on the intrastate loads, so the loads inside the states. So I can scroll and it provides me all the states, and then I can also sort it by trailer type and by specific region as well. It's not something DOT allows me to do. And then we also have the density map. This is very similar to the one we saw on the DAT again. This one shows the load to truck ratio, except that the color coding is different. So here green means high, loads are available. Medium is orange, means loads are slightly limited. And then red, low, loads are limited. And then once again, I can just go to each state and it will show me the in and out ratio. Very similar to DAT. So if you don't have a DAT account yet, you'll be able to get 1-3 load board account very easily after you watch module 6. Then you'll have all these tools available to you. Another thing I want to show you is the load planner over here. This is something unique to the 1-3 load board. So actually here I can add a truck and I can choose my equipment, van, reefer, or flatbed. Let's just go with van. And I can enter miles per gallon, so I can enter the fuel consumption of the truck, and it will show me not just the total rates, but also the profits after the fuel. So if you talk to your driver, you can get the mileage, the fuel consumption that his truck gets, and you'll be able to provide that statistics for them if they want. So I'm just going to save this truck here quickly. And this is actually going to build a route plan for me. So this is a great tool for beginners. Let's see how it works. Where is your truck located? So I can put in a date. Okay, let's just say like today. Origin point. Let's say Indianapolis, for example. We'll go for Indiana this time. Here you go, Indianapolis, Indiana. Okay. And then where would you like to be in a few days? I can input a date. If we started on Wednesday, let's say we have Wednesday to Wednesday, a full week, and then destination I can choose. Let's say we're loading this truck for a week, and then we need to bring it back to Indianapolis. There you go. Okay, so this is supposed to give us a route plan for a week worth of work for a truck coming out of Indianapolis and that needs to come back to Indianapolis. Here, states served, I can choose specific states where this carrier operates. If I have limits, for now I'm just going to leave it, I'm going to leave it, all the states. So see how this works. Oh yeah, I can choose certain regions. I'm not going to do that now. Let's give it full freedom and let's see what kind of route plan it creates for us. So load size here, I can only choose full loads. This will not help me with partial load consolidation. Maximum lengths, of course, 53 feet. Maximum weight, let's just go whatever, 45,000 pounds. Maximum posting age. Okay, so if I want to see only recent loads, then I can choose 30 minutes or 1 hour, or if I don't really care, I can choose 8 hours. So it will be choosing amongst loads that have been posted no later than 8 hours ago. And then maximum loads per trip. This also depends on my carrier. Maybe he's okay to do 1 load every day, or maybe he wants to only go out and come back. So this way I will choose maximum loads per trip too. So I can only do 1 load out, 1 load in. I'm just going to keep it whatever. 5 loads is doable in 1 week, so I'm just going to put 5. Radius limits, this is going to be my deadhead. Maximum deadhead is going to be 100 miles. Okay, I'm okay with that. And load mile range, I can also play around with that. I don't know if my carrier, for example, only wants to do 1 day load. Well, let's choose it. Let's say my carrier only wants to do 1 day loads. And this way I know that he can do maximum 750 miles, or let's even say maybe he can do maximum, oops, it's not very convenient to use. Let's say he only does maximum 750, wow, this doesn't let me choose. He only does maximum 650 miles, there you go, I hope it works, yeah. Maximum 650 miles, so in the load mile range I'm putting a maximum of 650 miles. Let's just do it here, maximum loads per trip. 10, because anyway the largest or the longest load it will show me is actually 650 miles. And then I can either do the leg view and choose each load individually, or I can do a trip view. So this will actually build a whole trip for me. Okay, let's check what we've input. 1 week. Let's find trips. So now this is analyzing hundreds of thousands of possible routes, or actually more than 1 million possible routes, and supposedly right now is going to present me an optimal route plan for my truck, for my dry van that's starting on Wednesday and needs to come back to the same place, Indianapolis, Indiana, on Wednesday. Wow, this is taking very long to analyze. Okay, there you go. So what did it provide? This trip has 7 loads. Wow. Mileage 2,541 miles. The total deadhead is 418. Revenue per day $1,192. Fuel cost per day $455. So that's taken from my mile per gallon fuel consumption. And total cost of tolls per day is $11. So the profit per day is $725. It's actually not so bad. Let's see what are the loads. There you go. So it starts with the first one, point A to point B. It took me from Indiana to Kentucky, and then from Indiana to Alabama. Well, I guess I had to I guess I went down to Kentucky, but then had to deadhead back to Indiana a little bit, and then it took me to Alabama, from Alabama to Kentucky, Ohio to Virginia, Virginia to Georgia, Georgia to Georgia, Georgia back to Indianapolis. So this actually did pretty well. I don't know in reality how this would work out. Obviously it hasn't booked these loads for me, but it provided me the company, so the brokers that have these loads, and now I can call these brokers. You see here, call the company directly to confirm availability and rate. So based on this route plan, I can start calling brokers and then negotiating. Maybe I will even be able to negotiate more than the load board provided me, because for each load I can confirm my rate. So I can actually tell them like, hey, you told me that I can book this load for $1,000, but actually I got $1,100. So then it will recalculate my daily profits. There you go. It will look for loads for you. It will make a route plan for you. I think this is a fantastic tool. If I were you, I would play around with it a little bit, see how to use it to the full potential, and utilize it in my day-to-day operations. So that's the load planner. What else do we have here on the 1 to 3 load boards? My loads, post trucks, rate check. Rate check is going to be the same as the quick rate lookup we just saw on DAT, so I can just input the pickup location, delivery location. It will give me average rates. Profit calculator, once again, I can input the mileage, how much I get per gallon, toll cost, even dispatch fee is available here. So you can really use this 1 to 3 load board to provide some additional value for your carrier. You can, when you start working with a new customer, you can tell them, hey, I not only do dispatching, but I'll also calculate your profitability. So you can input your dispatch fee here. Let's say you take 4%. If you check with him how many miles per gallon his truck makes, you can not only book loads for him, but actually calculate his profits. So that's extremely convenient. And then we have a mileage calculator. So that's also a very good tool if you're not satisfied with Google Maps, or you can double check your maps. You can go here and actually input an exact address. Not necessarily, you can just put a city. Let's just try, I don't know, Atlanta, Georgia, for example, going to Miami, Florida. Miami, Florida, there you go, calculate. So you can double check your mileage here and actually total toll cost. So there were many questions about how to calculate tolls. There you go, you can use 1 to 3 load board to calculate tolls. And the reason you can double check this, because it uses Google Map for interactive maps, but it also uses PC Miller, which is a GPS, a map that's made specifically for truckers. So the routes in this map will be specific for trucks, and if there are some roads that a 18-wheeler truck cannot go to, Google Maps will not show that to you, but PC Miller will. So this is actually a great tool to double check your routes, your mileage, and your toll cost. And then once again, they included the profit calculator in here as well, so you can also do the profit calculations.